The United States intercepted a Chinese ship full of missile fuel for Iran. This was 4 days after Trump told China to stop backing Iran. But in reality, this was China telling Iran to back down. That's what we're going to talk about in this clip.
Let's pivot on that to Iran and realize that the Iranians, or sorry, the IRGC are constantly doing the will they, won't they, will they, won't they. We're negotiating, we're not negotiating. Same 14 points that have been rejected 1,000 times, and then we find out that the guy who's feeding Axios and writing all the stories at Axios, there's no deal, there's a deal. They're manipulating oil markets and everything else. All this stuff is going on, and what do we find out? Like, we're kicking people out of the room. Apparently, I saw something this morning. I don't know. I haven't seen it confirmed by a source per se, but that Trump was complaining about Obama had a guy in the room in Pakistan
Mm.
and is now threatening him with the Logan Act directly, which I think is rich, by the way.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I think is hilariously rich. But I've been screaming Logan Act about Obama for months now. Not that Trump is taking my lead, but that he's using the Logan Act the way Obama did against Mike Flynn at the beginning of his first term, or during the transition period. And like, this is sincere. China came in this week and finally told Iran, that's enough. Stop it. Stop. No more. Cut it.
Tom, when did they do that, and how do you know they did that?
Yeah, no, it was there was.
I think I think Araghchi, if it wasn't Araghchi, one of their other key people was just in Beijing.
Yeah, that was when he's summoned to Beijing.
Yeah.
When Araghchi is summoned to Beijing, that's China telling him to knock it off. Okay, that's not China telling him, if China didn't want to be involved in this, China would not have summoned the Iranian foreign minister. Okay,
Could it not be China was saying, we're going to support you, we're going to give you more arms, more weaponry?
Have we seen any evidence of that?
Have we seen any evidence from them? Like, nothing, because they haven't really done anything. I'll be honest with you, Rich. When I look, let's go back to the ship that we intercepted in the Strait of Hormuz and in the Gulf of Oman, sorry, and knocked it out, and then went in there, got everything off of it, and then announced to the world what was in it: sodium perchlorate, potassium perchlorate, all the stuff to make missiles with. You don't think that the Chinese didn't know that we knew what was on that boat? That boat was sent by China as a message to allow the United States to take and prove the Iranians are trying to rearm here. The Chinese are not trying to rearm the Iranians. The Chinese are tired of this. I've been saying this for years. The Russians and the Chinese do not care who's in charge in Iran, just as long as the trade flows, either north-south or east and west, and that they get, in China's case, they get stable flows of oil. It's all they care about. They don't have any love for the IRGC, the mullahs, or anybody else. They don't. Why would they? It's not in their best interest to back a particular style of Iranian government. What they want is a government that they can work with, that is reliable. And the reality is that we know those guys are not reliable at all. And what's been proven during this conflict with the United States has been that they're clearly have other relationships that are more important to them than keeping good relations with Russia and China, because the United States and Israel have attacked Iran twice, and both times the Russians and the Chinese have done nothing. The Chinese didn't even send a sternly worded letter about the ship. That's a tell. And at least the Russians would, send. I've said it before. Well, they'll at least send Lavrov out there, or Peskov, or somebody to go to decry this. And
or they'll let Medvedev loose for a while.
Yeah, right. Or yes, no, that's another perfect example. Yes, they'll let the drunk, like drunk tweet, right? And Medvedev drunk tweet, which is what my wife accuses me of doing at 4:00 in the morning. I'm like, didn't even drink at 4:00 in the morning. Barely drink anymore at all. She's like, are you drunk tweeting again? I'm like, I'm just channeling my inner. I'm just channeling my inner Dmitry Medvedev, right? So, but it's that kind of thing, right? That's you can they have a particular amount. There's a certain normal response that you get at a statecraft level when incidents like this occur. And when you don't see that, you have to react to it accordingly. I was surprised that the Chinese didn't say anything. And then I went, oh, that's probably because the Chinese wanted the boat to be
They wanted it to be
right.
found. Yep.
They wanted it to be found. They wanted everybody to know, no, Donald Trump's not lying. The Iranians are trying to rearm. And yeah, okay, we'll knock it off. Pinky. Yeah,
Okay.
it's not even pinky swear. It's more, yeah, you caught us, right? You know? And
Okay.
now, because otherwise there would be no Trump Xi meeting. I was actually writing an article this morning, and then I had other meetings and whatnot. And I'll try and finish it sometime, maybe this afternoon, maybe not. But I was writing about this stuff, and I was saying, you know, in the context of the China meeting, China telling Iran, cut it out. At some point, all the soft power plays, right? The perceptions, they're all like options. They all have a time function. They all have a time decay function. And eventually, if you've ever traded options, and I have and gone broke doing it, and that's why I don't trade options anymore. If you don't know your Greeks, then you will lose all your money, because what happens with the time premium on an option, of course, is that the closer you get, the price of the option is good, it's good, and you get within the 15-day window when the option is going to expire, and it goes from 95% of full value to zero in like 4 days, right? And now everybody's trying to get out and roll over to the next 3-month contract, 3 or 6 month contract, and roll themselves out. But you have to roll out at the right time and take the small loss to not get wiped out completely. This is kind of what's happening right now. Iran's gambit on the Schrodinger Strait, is the strait open? Is it closed? And all the stuff that we've been watching for the last couple of weeks is all about trying to keep the perception that they have control over the situation, them and their benefactors who are right underneath them. That would be London and Europe, the Davos, the high table, whatever you want to call them. Underneath, trying to prop them up, saying, nope, no, you're good. And then at some point, the hard power reality of, at some point, there's a date in the future where this option is going to expire, where this gambit
Like
is
when
going
they
to
have to start
expire.
shutting their oil wells down.
Getting the oil wells shut down, the Chinese meeting, the China meeting with Trump, um, the end of the Brexit penalty period, July 4th, whatever, the midterms. You can pick any of these dates. We don't know what the strike date is on this thing, but it's one of these. Likely, I think notice how Trump and company started the blockade of the strait at about the same time when they knew that Iran was going to have to start like dumping oil over the side or shut the wells down, timed almost explicitly with the meeting with Xi Jinping.
If you enjoyed this video, you can find the whole clip right here. And don't forget to sign up for my free newsletter. Links in the description below.